Everyone to our final hope session for 2024. I am Heidi Parker. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Community Initiatives Manager here at Arts and Lane Initiative, and I am your Zoom host today. This program is presented as part of our free Hope series, Healing Online for People Everywhere, which we created to support the resilience of our global community through social emotional arts. Each workshop offers a supportive space for connection, healing, and empowerment as we navigate the changes in our world. If you have previously attended a Hope session, welcome back. If you are new, thank you for joining us today. We're grateful you're all here to create, learn, and grow together as a community. Today's program is in a meeting format, so please keep yourself muted until prompted otherwise. We are recording today's session in speaker view, and we do pause during any reflection. It will be shared on our YouTube channel, and you are welcome to leave your cameras on as you feel comfortable. We'd love for you to actively participate. Our session today is scheduled for an hour and a half, and feel free to add questions in the chat as they arise or use the raise hand function. Before we begin, I would like to start by acknowledging the Tongva Nation, on whose land the city of Los Angeles, where we are based, rests today. We hold respect and gratitude for the Tongva people who still consider themselves the caretakers of this land. By their example, we are reminded of our responsibility to our planet and to one another. So let's take a moment in our own way to honor the Indigenous communities of past and present on whose land you are joining from today. And feel free to honor those communities in the chat. I would like to welcome today's presenter. Kimberly Lee is a versatile writer, editor, creativity coach, and facilitator with a passion for nurturing the imaginative spirit and helping others reveal their own inner wisdom. A graduate of Stanford University and UC Davis School of Law, she is a certified guided autobiography instructor and an authorized SoulCollage facilitator. She has also completed training with the Center for Journal Therapy, the Center for Intentional Creativity, the Path Meditation, and serves on the board of Amherst Writers and Artists. She has led workshops at numerous retreats and conferences, and her stories and essays have appeared in numerous publications and anthologies. She trusts in the magic of miracles and synchronicity and believes that everyone is creative. She lives in Southern California with her husband and 3 children. And I will turn it over to Kimberly.
Thank you, Heidi, for that introduction. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. And thank you for joining us for this Hope series, the final one of 2024. I'm excited to be with you today and just really interested in, I'm so happy to share SoulCollage. It's one of my favorite things. You know, that song, these are a few of my favorite things. This is one of them. And so it is just always a pleasure to be in community and have the opportunity to share with you. So the future is just right around the corner, just a couple of weeks away. And so this workshop will focus on looking towards the new year. And while SoulCollage is not used for divination and foretelling the future, we can use it as an intuitive support for our future growth, articulating our strengths and providing affirmations for what we want to see as our purpose going forward. So just to give you an overview of what the next 90 minutes will look like, I will offer you kind of a brief guided visualization just to center us here. We'll have a bit of warm-up journaling. I will give a little bit about SoulCollage for those who are new to it, and also a refresher for those who have never done it before or who have already done it. And then we will create and interpret and work with a SoulCollage card, journal with what we've created. And then you'll have a chance, if you choose, to share in small groups if you wish. And then we'll come back together for a closing activity. So that's what it'll look like. So you've placed your goals and missions. I always love reading what people are looking to do in the new year. It's really inspirational. Hold on to that. We will revisit that later in the workshop. And someone is asking us in the chat, could I repeat what I said about it not being divination? So it is not used as some practices may be used to tell the future, a psychic practice. It is more about uh, digging into who we are and finding out who we are from within, and the power of that allows us to go forward. So I would never take a soul collage card just to answer your question like one of these and tell me what's going to happen, next month. That is not necessarily the way we use it at all. It is for inner strength and to kind of determine what we have within us that we can use ourselves to determine our best steps forward. So hopefully that answers the question. All right. So let's just settle in and take a moment. Feel free to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or you may just soften your focus and look away from the screen. Just look at something pleasant in front of you or lower your gaze. And sitting comfortably, surrendering your body into the safety of whatever is supporting you now. Taking a deep breath in and letting it go. And another deep breath, exhaling completely. One more deep breath, releasing. And now continuing to breathe at your own natural rhythm. Letting your body relax just a little bit more with each breath. Exhaling any tension that might be making its home in your body or mind. Inhaling relaxation, exhaling tension. Allowing yourself to be more calm and more relaxed with each breath. I invite you to remember that imagination is a powerful tool, and you can access yours at any time, in any circumstance. So, with this in mind, use your imagination to take yourself to your favorite place in nature, a place where you feel most at home with yourself. And taking yourself to this beautiful place and just walking around a bit, absorbing the sights, the sounds, any fragrances in the air. Maybe stooping to pick a flower or hold a shell or rub your fingers over a special stone. Now, as you are walking around this special place, you find yourself standing in front of a lovely bench. Pause for a moment when you find it. Notice what color it is, what it's made of, how big it is, and also noticing that you need a little rest. So go ahead and sit yourself down right in the middle of the bench, which is there to hold you. And you're sitting in the center of this bench, resting in the breath and in the peace. And any thoughts that are floating to the surface of the mind, notice them, accept them, and watch them go. Thanking each thought for coming and then watching it leave. And in between the thoughts, just resting in the silence. Now you are noticing that two beings have come to join you on your bench. One is sitting on your left, and the other is on your right. They feel friendly and safe to you. And I invite you now to turn towards the figure on your left. This is the past you. This is the you that you were yesterday or last year. Take a look at this part of you now and listen. What are they saying to you? They might be talking about regrets or happy memories or transformation. Just listening. Not judging this part of you or trying to talk back. It simply has information to give you and just listening, letting it all be okay. And now, having listened to this part of you from the part of the past, nod or bow to it. And then, if it feels okay, turn to the figure on your right. This is the future you. This is the you that you will be tomorrow or the next day, sometime from now. Taking a look at this part, listening in, what is your future self saying to you right now? Just listening, not judging this part or trying to talk back. Listening, feeling whatever you are feeling, and letting it all be okay. Now, still sitting in the middle of your bench with the past you on your left and the future you on your right, tell these two parts of you that you'd like a little more space. Ask them to move farther away from you on the bench. Just noticing how it feels good to have a good amount of space between your past and the now and your future. And if it feels good, thank this past self and this future self for joining you today. And then ask them to take a walk and leave you alone for a while. Notice how easily they get up and move on after they've been listened to thoroughly. And notice how it feels to be free of the past you and the future you for a while. Just sitting on the bench, your own beautiful self in the here and now. The past is gone, the future is absent, and you are inhabiting this beautiful moment right here, right now. And you can feel how precious this present moment is. Simply being here. Simply being here now. And savoring the quiet in and outflow of the breath, resting in the present moment, resting in the inhale, resting in the exhale, resting in this moment, the only moment that matters. You now rise from your bench, taking in the beautiful view you've created, knowing you can come back at any time. And finding a gentle way now to bring yourself back into the physical body. Maybe slowly moving your head from side to side, shaking out your hands, wiggling your hands or feet, and following the sound of my voice back to this room, this place, this time. And when you are ready, opening your eyes and returning your gaze to the screen. So I am going to place on the screen a few prompts, and I'm going to invite you to just take about 5 minutes to respond to any of these that is calling to you from what came to you, what arose in the meditation. Let's take about 5 minutes. I'll keep the time and let you know when we have about a minute remaining. About one more minute. And starting to find a place where you can bring the current sentence to a close for now. So feel free to keep that to yourself to maybe review, reflect, and maybe go back later and circle some key words or phrases or ideas. Or if you'd like to share something that arose for you, feel free to place that in the chat. Um, and so what I would like to talk about now is that when thinking about the future, we're often imagining or envisioning the outcome. Um, and we are inclined sometimes to imagine the worst or to fear the worst. Deborah Ross has written a book called Your Brain on Ink, and she's done some research that indicates that the brain is really wired as Velcro for the negative. And this has helped us, as you know, I'm sure you've heard, this has helped us evolutionarily. For example, if back in the way back in the day, we were focused on the gazelles gliding beautifully and the herd of elegant elephants and the birds flying in formation overhead, their wings undulating beautifully, all of those meditative images. If we focused on all that at the time, those benign things, we may have missed the one lion who planned to have us for dinner. And so we may have outlived that now. Maybe that focus on the negative is not as useful. And so, what I have been focusing on is trying to think of the best case scenario and just recognizing that our thoughts play a role in manifesting our reality. There's a phrase you may have heard where our thoughts go, energy flows. It can be helpful to exercise the muscle of shifting our thinking to the positive, orienting to the optimistic, to the extent that we can. Obviously, we want to maintain our sense of safety in the world and have take caution where necessary. But shifting our thinking towards manifesting what we do want to see and viewing that events in that way can be helpful, especially for vision and possibility. Those are the thoughts that lend us strength and resilience to go forward and to be open and to allow creative solutions. So I am going to show you now a image, and I'm going to invite you. Well, first of all, let me just show it to you. All right. So here is an image. Hopefully you can see that. And so, as humans, we might be inclined to have a thought about what's getting ready to happen when we see that particular image. But what I'm going to invite you to do is just as an exercise in working that muscle of orienting towards finding the blessing in the challenge, um, the possibilities, is to use your imagination and, in the best of all possible worlds, again, using your imagination, what will happen in the next in this scene? And feel free to place those in the chat what you're thinking. In the best of all possible worlds, what will happen next in this scene? Yes, the person will get what they are reaching for. The most incredible book will be received. She balances on the arms of the chair and receives what she wants. She will sprout wings and fly to get what she is reaching for. A friend is right off screen and will catch her. A tall person will come in and help her. A safe person walks in. She'll realize she can't reach it, so she'll get down and get a higher ladder. In looking for the book, she finds something she didn't expect and thought she'd lost years ago. Beautiful. Someone will come and bring her a ladder. The chair shakes and a leaf floats down and lands on her nose. She becomes a beautiful bird. She leaps off the chair and the setting pulls away to reveal the rest of her dance company, and audiences' minds are open. Beautiful. She finds a magic bottle with a genie inside that gives her three wishes. Helpful friends are behind her, and someone helps her reach higher. She will take up ballet. Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for sharing those. So that is what I'm planning to do for the future is just orient for the, as the year comes in, is orient myself towards those imaginative possibilities, towards what's possible as opposed to fearing the worst, imagining the worst. And the reason that I've taken this up is because my husband, uh, we were dating, he would say, oh, you're Miss Worst Case Scenario. That's what he would call me, Miss Worst Case Scenario. And so I was like, I think I was conditioned to kind of be a cynic. That's who my parents were. So I'm kind of shifting, and it is a work in process of progress, but it is something that I find helps me see possibilities and come up with creative solutions. And overall, it's just a more uplifting way to do things. So we're going to come back to that exercise a little bit later, one more time. But what I'd love to do now is talk a little bit about soul collage and have us create a card that we can work with. So, soul collage is an expressive arts method. It uses imagination, images, and intuition to help us explore who we are and to learn from the innate wisdom that exists within all of us. And it was developed by Sina Frost, who was a psychotherapist. And she developed this process, taking the practice of intuitive collage and giving us a process to work with that collage that allows us to access our own creativity and our own wisdom in a less logical way, not using the logical brain, but more the intuitive brain. And as a result, it's a process that allows us to answer our own questions, to become more aware of our gifts and strengths and celebrate them, and also of areas that we might consider to be blind spots or things that we might wish to see growth in. It is based on the premise that we are attracted to images that mirror what's inside of us, that may have a message for us, something to offer us. And the thought is that by placing images intuitively onto cards and then letting them speak to us in a way that you'll get to experience a specific process, we are able to access our insight and creativity in a way that we might not have been able to do otherwise. It is largely based on the work of Carl Jung, and he said, often the hands will solve a mystery that the intellect has struggled with in vain. And so I just really adore this process. I'm going to show you a few of my cards. You can make the cards intentionally, meaning I want to make a card for my grandfather about him with things that he loved, and then speak from that image. Or we can make them intuitively, which is what you're going to be doing today, where you've just grabbed a bunch of images that were calling your name, that resonated with you, and then you will be surprised by what comes of them. So, just to show you a few of my cards, this is one of mine. I call this Mrs. Doolittle, which is what I feel I became when we got it. My kids begged to have a dog. We got a dog a few years ago, and I just absolutely adore him. His name is Orion, and I just wanted to make a card representing that aspect of myself. So these cards represent who we are, and so you can ultimately have this huge deck. I have a little bit more than 200 of different cards that represent different aspects of myself. So the roles that we play, our characteristics, our values, the archetypes that we are playing out. So this is the very Jungian aspect of it, is that there are all of these universal archetypes: the great mother, the wise one, the trickster, that you see in tarot cards, that you see in film and literature. We are actually playing out those roles ourselves. And so we can create a card representing that. We can also create a card, as I mentioned, for people who have impacted us. They are a part of us. So as a result, we might have a card representing and honoring them, a card for places and situations that are important to us. We can have aspirational cards for things that we want to do and intentions, and even animals who are animals that we have an affinity for or that have some special relationship to us. We can create cards for them as well. This is another card. I call this the dreamer, because almost every major decision in my life, I have had a dream that told me exactly what to do. So that's an important aspect of myself. This is the seeker. And so you can see the cards are not a lot of images, maybe 3 to 4 images at most, maybe even 2 images, but they always are very powerful when we work with them. Okay, I am going to take this down. And then I just would just like to show you the card so you can get a sense of the size of it. So it's about a 5 by 8. And the reason that we work with this size is because it does force you to make choices. You can't put a million things on. I am someone who also does vision boards. So I make a big board with lots of million images and lots of words. But for SoulCollage, we kind of just take a few images that are powerful and put them together the way they want to be put together, and avoid using words, because when we work with them in our journal, we really want to allow the images to speak. So, that's like kind of a quick overview of SoulCollage. The other thing that I'll say is that we aren't concerned with making a pretty card, some beautiful card that we can show a lot of people and get a lot of accolades for. This really is a process tool for ourselves. But of all the workshops I've given, both in person and on Zoom, all of the cards are beautiful because they come from you. And so there is just a beauty to that. So still try to let go of that judgment and evaluation and just do what the images want them to do. I want to open it up to see if there's any questions. And then if not, I'm going to start to direct you through the process of making a SoulCollage card, and we'll have some time to do that and then come back together and work on it. So are there any questions? Any questions that I can answer? I'll take a look in the chat and see if anything. All right, well, if you do have any, feel free to jump in, and I'm here and available for questions. So you have.
There's one in the chat, Kimberly.
Oh, there is. Let's see.
Oh.
Can you use markers and pens? Absolutely. And what I sometimes often do is I have glitter pins and things like that, or black pins that I want to outline something, or white pins, different colors. So whatever you like to use, this is yours. There really are no rules, just tips, because this is your own creation. So it's really a chance to play and have fun, and you have full permission to do things. Sometimes a primary becomes a background. Is that distinction? That's an interesting question, because we can work with all. I work with I'll speak from the background, I'll speak from the primary. It's really however you put it together. I use primary, but really it's just all images. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, so let's make a card. So take your primary image.
Sorry, Kimberly, one more. There's
one more question. Okay.
What weight of paper?
So I kind of a card stock is nice so that you have something kind of firm as the base. If you have just simply a plain, printer paper, though, that's fine for today. But in terms of like, if you want to make a lot of these and kind of have them so that they're kind of sturdy, some type of cardstock or cardboard is actually most helpful. Mat board. Yes. Thanks, Karina. Yes. Perfect. All right. All right. So we'll be monitoring for questions. Are we making only one card today? Yes. Yes. Just one card. So take your primary images, and those would be your people, your objects, or your animals, and place those kind of in one pile if you have those. And then place your larger backgrounds in a second pile. So your larger backgrounds might be the interior of a home or building, or a larger nature setting, even patterns. So like a paisley pattern, that could be a background. So really anything that's large enough to take up the surface space that you're working with. And once you've sorted those into a couple of piles, and just set the backgrounds aside for now. and we'll focus in on the primary images. So I'll give you a moment to just gather your primary images. So taking a look at the primary images, just flip through those, and I'm just going to invite you to choose one for now. All of them called to you, but which one is asking to be worked with today, right now, at this moment? Which primary image? And not really overthinking it, but really feeling into it as you flip through. Maybe you might feel some little visceral, like, oh, yeah. So just go with that. Grab that one primary image. Any suggestions on how to choose from many? Yeah, it's very intuitive. So just which one, maybe you feel a little pulse in your heart as you flip through. One in particular is catching your eye. And knowing that you can always return to the others, all of them called to you. So I hope you'll make more cards. So keep those for the next time, and just one for now. And once you have that one, you can begin cutting it away from the background in which it appears. I see a question from Vera, very small. Can you unmute? And I can answer your question. So it looks like you have a small image. Oh, I still can't hear you.
It's a very small image. Can I use like, or has to be large?
No, you can use a small image.
Very small in the middle of the card.
Yes, yes. Who knows what will come of that? So you're cutting that primary image away from where it appears. It might be an advertisement. It might be, who knows? Whatever it's in, cut it away from that. It's going to receive a new home. So cut it directly away from that. Maintaining any parts of it that you wish to have. So if it is holding something, you kind of like that, it can hold that thing. I see a question from Corey. So we are just cutting it away from the background that it appears on. And then we will, you feel free to unmute if you'd like, so I can answer your question more fully. But overall, don't worry about it fitting on the card quite yet. Just cut it away from the background. So I'll tell you the next steps for those of you who are ready, and those of you who are still working, take your time. So once you have the primary image, I'd invite you to hold it up to the backgrounds that you brought with you. And just hold it up in front of those different backgrounds, one by one. And feeling into where it wants to land. So that's what you'll do once you have cut the image away from its original background, is you'll hold it up to your other backgrounds that you brought. And again, just feeling into it. Maybe you have some response in the body that says, yes, this goes here. Or no, oh, no. Then move on to the next one until it lands. You're not.
Could
Yes.
you explain one more time the layer issue?
What you're doing with your primary image?
Well, yeah, what you've already said. I got a little
Okay,
confused.
sure. And actually, I'm going to put up a slide with those directions as well. So you are cutting away your primary image. And then once you have that, you brought a number of backgrounds, maybe some nature settings and other things.
Okay.
Maybe you have 4 or 5 of those. So you're going to just kind of take that primary image, maybe it's a person, and hold it up against the forest. And like, oh, no. And then hold it up against the next one until you pick one where that image wants to land. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
No?
It's okay. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So essentially what you're doing is we are making a card that's going to have 2 images, a primary image on a background. So you are picking, once you have your primary image, now you are picking a background for the image. Okay. And then what you're going to do is glue down that background on your base. And cut it away after you've glued it down. And then you're going to glue your primary image onto the background. I'm going to put up a slide with this, with these directions. And then if you have any other images that you want to go on this card, feel free to use those as well to make an actual collage with 3 or 4 images. So we'll have about 12 minutes, maybe till about 5 to the hour to complete your collage. So you have a primary image, a background, and you can add other images that you may have with you that you really want to go on this collage. Feel free to add those as well. And I am going to find a slide with those directions and put those up so that you can take a look as well. Sure, I see a question from Corey. I have a primary that is large and the background seems to be small. So sure, you can use a number of smaller backgrounds to make the whole. That would be really interesting. Also, I'll show you a card. This is one that I've made here where, this person just wouldn't really fit on this card. So I have her coming off the card. And so that is actually fun to write with, and a whole bunch of things came with that. So I just have, she wouldn't fit on it, but I didn't want to. So feel free to let the primary image hang off of the card, put together a couple of backgrounds to fill your space. All of those are great possibilities.
I guess my question is about a larger image and then it seems out of scale, but that's probably my
That's
mind in
good.
process.
Out of scale is great for collage. That's like a lot of collage involves using different scale that's unusual. So I would go with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We're not gluing yet, right?
When you feel ready. So I'm opening up the time for you to just have some time, 10 more minutes to just figure it all out how you want. And then once you have understand how you want to put it down, feel free to start gluing. So this is just open time now.
Thank you.
One thing I will say on this slide is the third bullet point here says, find supporting images of the same energy to add. So I want to say a couple words about that. And so that just means that your primary image has a certain energy. Maybe it's a person smiling, maybe it's a person crying, maybe it's a person, having some who knows what their expression is or what the expression is, that the energy that's coming from that image. And so any smaller image that you might add to the collage, you would like for that to be of the same energy. And that makes it easier to work with the card. So if I have a card where there's tears rolling down a person's face, I don't usually put another person on there who's happy. I put other melancholy images to give it that same energy. And then I'd make a happy card, a different card for that. So just keeping the same energy is helpful. So just checking in, we have about 5 more minutes. Thank you. So hopefully in these last couple of minutes, you're coming to a place where you're starting to really glue it down. And about one more minute. And hopefully finding a place where you can feel that for now, at least, you can work with what you have. And of course, you can always go back to the collage and do more with it. But hopefully, it's at a place where you feel we could um, take a breather for now. And maybe hopefully, you can start working with this new creation. And so first, just before we get into the soul collage process of interpreting the card, I would ask that you, similar to that photo that we had with the woman on the teetering and trying to reach for the book, that you just take a look at this world you've created and with a maybe with a smile on your face, look at it as if it's a story and imagine in the best of all possible worlds what will happen next in this scene. And just maybe just think to yourself, just again, exercising that muscle, what will happen next. So just a short reflection. And so now to work with this new card. What's great about Soul Collage is that instead of starting to tell a story about the card, we actually step into the world that we've created and become one of the images. And really, that could be any image. I'm going to prompt you to do the primary image now, but it could also be from the background or from some small little thing, someplace that you just happen to notice. So instead of saying, for example, with this card, that I have here. I'm going to stop sharing so you can see me. So at this card that I have here, well, there's a woman and there's fuchsia flowers over here and a plant, and she seems to be placing something. So I'm telling you a story about the card when I do that. But what is really powerful about this process is we actually step into the image. So I would become her and say something like, I am one who places my gifts into the flow of life, or something like that. And so you can see how much more powerful that is. So that's the invitation, is to invite you to step into the world that you've created and become the primary image, and right from its perspective, beginning with the prompt, I am one who. So that's how you'll start. And then once that feels complete, then I have a couple of questions there that you can ask that image regarding the project that you talked about, that you placed in the chat at the beginning of the workshop, the project, mission, goal, desire, maybe something abstract, a way that you want to feel in 2025. And ask that image, after it's introduced itself with its I am one who statement, and whatever it has to say in response to that about who it is, then ask, what message do you have for my creative project or goal? What are the next steps to help my project or goal, desire manifest? So take some time to journal with those questions. Feel free, if you have any questions, to place them in the chat and I'll respond. And just immersing yourself in the world of the collage and allowing it to tell you who it is and what messages it has for you at this time. And maybe just another minute. And starting to find a place where you can bring the current sentence to a close for now. I have a request to put the prompts back up. I will put them back up just briefly because I want to invite you to, if you'd like, if you have a choice, to go into breakout rooms of 3 to have a chance to share your collage, what arose from it, the process, any insights, surprises, synchronicities. And so, for those of you who are in the main room with us, continue journaling as you were. Or another option would be to, now that maybe the primary image has spoken, and we were talking about this earlier, feel free to let the background speak and answer the question. And I'll put the prompts back up. Or maybe there's a little supporting image off to the side. Allow it to give its I am one who statement and tell you who it is, and allow it to answer the questions about the things that you'd like to see manifest in 2025. So I'm going to place the prompts back up for you, and feel free to again let a different image in that same collage speak or write, as the case may be. so much for being here,
Oh my God.
spending your Friday hour and a half with me. I wish you all the best for a lovely holiday season and all the best in 2025. I do have some things coming up with the Arts and Healing Initiative in 2025, so I hope to see you again. Watch the calendar, and I will turn it over to Heidi. But thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Lottie.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for leading us through this Soul Collage journey to close out this year. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. And we'd like to extend our appreciation for our donors and for the LA Department of Arts and Culture who make the Hope series possible. There will be a follow-up email that includes a brief survey about your experience today. That survey is also in the chat box. And your feedback really does help us ensure that we're continuing to best serve you and bring you hope sessions that are of interest. We do have a few upcoming hope sessions and trainings, as Kimberly mentioned, and I will give her a shout out for our March series that is happening. This will be a 4-part guided autobiography and soul collage combination. We're very excited to bring this series. Each week we'll have a different topic. You can come to 1, you can come to 3, you can come to all 4. So it will be the same Zoom link each week, but 1 registration just to make things simple and easy for you. I also really hope that you have a wonderful weekend, a beautiful holiday season, and I look forward to seeing all of you in January. Thank you.